We're here to discuss jobs and the booming economy. We're at a unique point of time in our nation's history, a time that I can never recall during my time on this planet, where the economy is doing so well, we have more jobs open than human beings to fill them. And that doesn't just happen by itself. It happens because you have an administration, and the Trump administration, dedicated to job-creating policies. And then you have members of Congress that are leaders in the United States Congress voting and providing leadership for those policies that will produce a healthy economy. Because one of the things we know at the Chamber of Commerce, and I'll just flat out say, we're not the party of the Republicans, we're not the party of the Democrats or even independents, we're the party of business. And we just want to see jobs, jobs, and more jobs. We are all thrilled to be here with Congresswoman Martha McSally. You all know her incredible story of groundbreaking bravery. She has broken through the glass ceiling in the way no human being in this country ever did. She has put her life on the line for this country. She was the first female fighter pilot. If that wasn't enough, she was the first squadron commander in the air, and she has flown on behalf of this country she's flown in Afghanistan, she's flown in Iraq, and she has helped keep this country safe. When it comes to voting the right way on tax reform and regulatory reform, Congresswoman McSally has been there, and she has earned the endorsement of the United States Chamber. She has earned the endorsement of the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and she basically has a perfect score from the National Association of Manufacturers. So without further ado, Donald Trump Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle, and our very own Congresswoman Martha McSally. We've never seen an economy like this, ever. And I remember during the campaign, a lot were saying it's impossible to get beyond 2% growth. That's the new normal. What's going on?
Listen, you heard it in perhaps the rally earlier, and everyone will get to hear it again tonight at our other rally. But no, the reality is this. When you have someone who's actually run a business, when you've had someone who's actually had people's livelihoods and their families' well-being dependent on their success, and you've grown a business and you've done it for decades, it shouldn't be surprising to people that we can do better than that. Well, we're at 4.3%. It keeps going, and because they're getting stuff done. I mean, eliminating oppressive regulations. I mean, the administration set out to cut 2 regulations that were sort of just sitting on the books and obsolete for decades, for every new one that they put in place, and they've overshot their goal on that. It's 22 regulations have been cut for every new one in place. You have tax reform, you have renegotiating things like NAFTA, all of these things that they said couldn't be done, and it's working, and it's awesome to see it as a business guy myself, and seeing it, and but at the same time being a guy who is not just a New York City guy, right? I spend my time hunting, fishing, and shooting, so I'm all in the middle part of the country, and you see people coming up, and it's making a difference in their lives. That $2,000 a year to the average family, that ain't crumbs.
Congresswoman, the jobs bill, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you voted for it.
I did. Good. Yes, I proudly voted for it. Not only did I vote for it, but I worked really hard on it. Our tax code is we used to say, 10 times bigger than the Bible, but not filled with any good news. The old version, anyway. It hadn't been.
True story.
Yeah, it hadn't been updated in over 30 years, and we just need to change the culture of Washington. And look, President Trump was elected to be a disruptor, and part of that, of teaming up with him, with a Republican-led Senate and House, was let's rewrite this tax code, right? Because hardworking families and small business owners, we basically, the rest of the world changed to compete, and we didn't keep up with them as far as the global marketplace out there, and it needed to be done. So it's complicated, but we got to work, working very closely with administration. I'm not on those committees, but I've got a reputation of diving in, even on the issues that are not my committees, because I want to improve the bills. And so a couple things in particular that I worked on as we were moving the bill forward that I want to highlight. One was even though we doubled the standard deduction, we're lowering rates for everybody. On average, family of four is getting a $2,000 break. A really big deal. I felt it was really important to preserve the child and dependent care tax credit, and this is something that Ivanka and I were very passionate about because originally they were trying to kind of get rid of a lot of the deductions, but just lower rates for everybody so they can choose to spend their money on whatever they want. But I thought this was so important. I chaired the Women in the Workforce in the 21st Century Working Group, and one of the biggest barriers of closing the pay gap, the root causes of why we still have some of that pay gap, one of them is access to childcare. And in dual income families or single parent families, it's just so much often a barrier that is extremely challenging because of the expense. So I thought it was really important both on the policy, helping working parents, and also just the message of like, hey, we think it's important for us to continue to preserve this. So we added that back in the bill, and I'm really proud that we got that across the finish line because we knew the importance that this was going to have on our economy. After 26 years in the military, I deployed to D.C. because I was frustrated, and we just don't walk by a problem, and it's part of our culture as veterans, right? So I brought there the same mindset that I have in the military, which is, what are we trying to do? How are we going to get it done? Is it a federal government responsibility? Is it a government responsibility at all? These are usually the questions you should ask before you're trying to fix something, right? It's our job as legislators not to bloviate, not to just sit there and yell at each other, but actually to draft legislation to fix a problem, get co-sponsors and support, get other people around the country who care about it, and then move it. Not just introduce it and pretend you solved it, but move it out of subcommittee, move it out of committee, get it past the House, get it through the Senate, and get it on the president's desk. And so I've gotten 20 bills passed through the House. I've gotten 5 substantive bills signed into law. And then on the major issues of the day, whether it's the defense bill, the infrastructure bill, the tax bill, the healthcare bill, I've built a reputation of being constructive and thoughtful, like based on facts.
We're campaigning across the country, and we are going out of our way in any way possible we can to support candidates that we really believe in, that are champions, like fighters that will help the president to continue this Trump economy, this American economic renaissance that we are all a part of. This is just 2 years in, imagine, and just record numbers in terms of the approval and bringing all kinds of people in from diverse communities supporting the president because they see tangible results. Martha's been absolutely incredible. She gets it. She's super smart. She's hardworking. She understands all the important issues that affect Americans. And quite honestly, you're what Arizona deserves.